When we were in Colorado Springs, we went to the National Museum of World War II Aviation. It is so worth it. This has some of the most amazing aircraft. They have actually restored every kind of anything that we used during World War II is in this aviation museum. It had just opened a few weeks before we got there in March and has a huge collection of artifacts from World War II. I was totally taken back when I saw this place. It had planes that they were in the process of redoing and planes that they had already finished. What's always amazing to me is that there are people that want to preserve our history, that want to show us exactly what happened 50 years ago. That what they did to save our freedom in our country. I think of my dad, and I know he served in Japan, and he probably used one of those planes to get there. It was almost, this sounds a little weird, but it was almost life-altering because my dad never talked about the war very much. But listening to them speak and talk and say what they did during the war made me more honored that my dad and my uncle and my other uncle served in this war. All I want to say is thank you. And if you have a chance, I want you to go this year, right now. And I say that because they're in the process of making it a museum where you have those handsets that you'll plug it in and you'll get the information and the history. But right now, they have actual veterans that served in World War II, some in Korea. Their tour guide, he'd actually flown in the planes that we were looking at. They're going to tell you about their stories. They're going to tell you about their life, their experiences, what they did to preserve our country the way they did it. The museum is open on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, 10, 12, and 2. Don't forget, you need to go this year and next year, actually this year, because the aviators who flew in World War II and Korea are your tour guides. While we were at this tour, there was a World War II vet who was going through the tour with us. Granted, he's elderly, and it's a very large space. They do have walkers that you can borrow, which he did. He borrowed one of the walkers that they had at the museum. But walking through 3 hangars is really a large, long walk. What you need to do is get a scooter. I even hate to say this, but bring a wheelchair if you don't have a scooter because it's so much easier to get through this. While he was walking through this thing, it took up so much energy and so much of his time that he couldn't even get all the way back to the start of the museum. They had to come and pick him up. So I highly recommend, if you do have limited mobility, you do have difficulty with walking, get a scooter. It makes your life so much easier, it makes it go quickly, and there's nobody pushing you around. But if you're not going to go that far, take a wheelchair, because this is a great museum and you don't want to miss it. And don't be afraid to use a scooter. Don't be afraid to use something for your assistance. Be bold, be brave, but go to this museum. It's so worth your time.